Climate change. It's been haunting us for decades. But is the first step to a solution just bicycles? Climate change is the phenomenon of rising global temperatures due to a preponderance of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, almost solely due to human activities that release those gases and deforestation, which removes the forests, which help us lower the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere back down. The most common greenhouse gas is carbon dioxide, also known as CO2. It is, of course, not the only greenhouse gas, as there are also methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor, and more, but CO2 gets the most attention because it is by far the most released greenhouse gas. Finding a solution is difficult because most of the greenhouse gases are produced through the burning of fossil fuels, which we depend on for generating electricity and for transportation, mostly. We depend on electricity for everything. It powers our watches, phones, lights, cars, homes, factories, other buildings, the list goes on. In short, the entirety of human civilization is powered by electricity, and giving it up is just not an option. Transportation is also not exactly optional, because that is how we get places. A lot of the CO2 released is due to energy generation from the burning of fossil fuels, but that is a topic for another day. Transportation is also largely responsible for the release of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and the solution is relatively simple. The main mode of transportation responsible for emitting CO2 into the atmosphere is cars, which all of us use to get literally everywhere. But what if we only used cars to get to some places, the places that are too far to get to by any other human-powered means? But what would we use for the other trips? This is where the bikes come in. As you may know, a bicycle is a two-wheeled form of transportation commonly powered by the human riding it, and commonly having a drivetrain consisting of... Just kidding. Here's a bicycle on the screen. This has a variety of benefits over other cars. Bikes are cheaper, less space-consuming, better for the environment, better for you, better for the city, safer, and they are just so cool. I go deeper into those reasons in the article that is linked in the description below, and it has citations and all the fancy stuff, so if you want to learn more, that is a good place to start. For now, let's talk more about bikes. Besides the practical benefits of biking listed in the article, bikes are just really cool. There's a bike sport for everyone. There's road biking, gravel biking, mountain biking, road racing, enduro racing, downhill racing, cross-country, trials, time trials, BMX tricks, BMX racing, slopestyle, dirt jumping, free ride, cycle ball, cycle polo, and it doesn't end there. Whether you like extreme sports like downhill racing, mellow sports like cross-country, precise sports like trials, tricks like BMX tricks, huge tricks like free ride, biking has got something for you. But what should you do about it? You should start biking. Right now, I'm mainly talking about commuting by bike instead of by car, because it is much better for the environment and much better for your physical, mental, and immune health. Besides, if you are a parent, you don't have to spend your whole life driving your kids everywhere. If it is close enough, they can simply bike there. That, and it is also much cheaper because bikes cost much less than cars, and you don't have to pay for gas. I started biking to school when my parents no longer had the time to deliver me there by car, and the bus was bad. Walking there would take me almost an hour, and the only thing left was biking, and I still can't believe how well it turned out. It is fun, fast, good for the environment, and a really good way to wake up. Even though the trip is 2 miles long, it doesn't take a long time and anyone can do it, thanks to the fastest and most efficient human-powered form of transportation, bicycles. If you've started commuting by bike more, or have been doing so for a while now, I greatly appreciate that. However, the sad reality is that not many people are going to start biking with how cities are currently being made. Here in North Texas, bicycle infrastructure is basically non-existent. If you want to bike somewhere, you have to hope that whatever route you're taking has sidewalks, or you have to ride amongst the cars. And remember, bicycles usually only go about 5 through 20 miles per hour, but cars can reach speeds of up to 80. As you can imagine, that is definitely not the safest thing. And even if you have sidewalks, that is still not close to ideal. They are bumpy, small, and have lots of obstacles. If you find a sidewalk and brave the bumps, obstacles, and the fact that you can barely even fit on it, there's still a decent chance that you can't even get to where you wanted to get because the sidewalk ends. I didn't know this before I watched some videos about cycling infrastructure in other parts of the world, but at least where I've been, North Texas really is a dystopia for cyclists. The city only cares about cars, which is evident because of how a lot of the roads are built here. Let's take the intersection of Panther Creek and FM 423 as an example. Panther Creek has 6 car lanes on either side. 6 car lanes! But it doesn't even end there. FM 423 has 10 car lanes on both sides of the intersection. But guess how many bike lanes I've ever seen in Texas during my 3 years of living here? Not a single one. And this must be fixed. Some might say we can't have bike lanes in the cold and sometimes snowy region of North Texas. Or there are no bikes and so many cars, so why would we build bike lanes when nobody uses them and cars are running out of space? But those arguments quickly lose merit as soon as you try to think of a solution because the problem simply doesn't exist. First off, it being a little cold sometimes is absolutely not an excuse to completely disregard the need for cycling infrastructure. Take Bergen, Norway, for example. It gets way more snow than we ever get in Texas, and the temperatures get about as cold as they do here in North Texas, and they still have a lot of bike lanes. And in addition to that, they have the best and longest bike tunnel in the world. And also, if it is too cold for you outside, just wear a jacket. It's that simple. There's a video about Bergen, Norway on the channel Not Just Bikes that you should definitely watch to learn more about the city and the very cool story behind the longest and best bike tunnel in the world. He also covers some of the other excuses that are commonly used by cities to forget about cyclists and why those really are nothing more than excuses. And yes, there are a lot of cars here in North Texas, a very few cyclists too, but that should not be the case. How are we going to solve climate change if we are building cities for an expanding amount of CO2 emitting cars on the road? How are there supposed to be cyclists in a city that completely disregards the need for cycling infrastructure? The answer to the first question is we can't solve climate change by putting more cars on the roads. That is why we need bike lanes. If there are bike lanes, then it is actually possible to commute by bike without having to suffer the consequences of a crummy sidewalk or a busy, unsafe road. That is when people will ride cars less and bikes more, and no, there is no lack of funding. As the narrator of Not Just Bikes said so well, quote, the entire cost of the Line 2 LRT, including all tunneling, was equivalent to around $650 million. Meanwhile, U.S. cities regularly spend this much on routine highway widening projects that don't actually fix traffic congestion, end quote, which sadly is very true. By the way, the LRT line included an emergency tunnel that goes alongside it, that has been cleverly adapted to be used as the world's greatest bicycle tunnel when there is not an emergency. This quote is from the previously mentioned video about Bergen, Norway, and how they've built the best bicycle tunnel in the world, the link to which you can find in the description. Basically, North Texas, and for that matter most cities in the US, have no excuse to forget about cyclists. If you are a city official watching this, please, we really need bicycle infrastructure. Whether you do it for the environment, for the safety, health, or happiness of the city's inhabitants, bicycle infrastructure is essential for the betterment of cities and the solving of the climate crisis. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about this stuff, you can go and read my article that is linked in the description. I really recommend watching the videos about Bergen, Norway and Oulu, Finland for some practical, fun, and educational content that will show you the power of a bike-friendly city.